Well, good morning and happy 4th of July to all the beautiful people out there. Delilah, as well as Bullhorn Betty, myself, would love to say happy 4th of July to all the people that are out there in the YouTube world. Delilah has been absolutely a joy to have. She has been absolutely rambunctious, but what a privilege it is to be her mommy. So happy 4th, enjoy your day, but enjoy it safely. God bless. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here, Bullhorn Betty here. We have one rambunctious Delilah this morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm Bullhorn Betty, and I cover true crimes, and more importantly, we cover missing persons. This is Taylor Casey. I just wanted to throw this face out there before we got started on Sebastian Rogers, just to advocate for Taylor Casey. Taylor Casey is a 41-year-old aspiring yoga instructor. Get off my book. Aspiring yoga instructor that went to the Bahamas to a retreat and disappeared. Apparently, she was at June 19th's yoga retreat sessions, and by the 20th she was gone. According to some of the statements, there was somebody lingering around her tent or her boardwalk where these tents are kind of closely together, but they had a walkie-talkie and nobody knows who the person is. And a person approached Taylor from Chicago, apparently from Chicago, that was interested in learning more about the yoga retreat. So there's a lot of weird behaviors going on looking back, hindsight's 2020. And that's kind of where we are at this moment. The family found the Find My app type of thing, to find their phone. And her phone was found nearby about 53 feet into the water near her tent. So again, very concerning, very alarming. It sounds like, and somebody I brought up the fact that I thought it was somebody that was just saying they're from Chicago, but somebody believes that they would have had to been from Chicago. There's lingo for people there, that they speak a certain way, that it would have been very easy to identify somebody that wasn't from Chicago, according to this person. Now, I don't know, because I know very limited people from Chicago personally. I have a cousin that when he got married, some of her family's from Chicago. That's about the nearest I've got experience with. I just want everybody to know that we are doing this. This program here is sponsored by our subscribers, for our subscribers. However, I do keep it open to everybody so you all can watch, because we are advocating for these victims. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic child that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen or heard from again. Look at that beautiful smile. This was the last photo of him. This was taken Saturday at the Costco's before he disappeared. And, you know, he has not been seen or heard from since. And so when I get to stopping points or where I get, you know, hung up, when I don't know where to turn, so to speak, I start going back to the beginning. I always do that. I when I'm covering a case this intensely, I'm constantly going back to the beginning, rewatching everything, because as we get new information down the road, there may be things that we watched the interview, but they didn't click for me at that time because certain information wasn't available to us at that time. And then now we're looking back, there's a lot of information that is available to us. And does anything kind of jog my thought process now that we have new information and listening to old information? I'm going back through the green shirt interview. I'm going through my next one I'm working on is the Miss Bobby interview. I'm going through that, and you know, I'm not really like transcribing it, but I'm putting points that were very interesting to me and listing those, because we're far enough in the case. In my opinion, I know certain key details that I want to focus on from interview to interview. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I want to go and, you know, list all these hot topics from the interview, and obviously their time, you know, where are they in that interview, so I can go back and quickly grab those as needed. And while I'm going through this again, there were a few issues, to say the least, when it came to the interview, the green shirt interview. This is the very first news interview that they had given, and I believe it was like March 3rd or something like that, maybe March 5th. I'm unsure, but I can tell you that, it's Wonderless Dreamer, it's nice to see you, thank you for subscribing. It might be one of these situations where we're going to find out that there's more that meets the eye when it comes to this case. We all feel it, we all know it, but there are certain things that looking back just doesn't make sense, and now we have new information. Is there bringing up any additional red flags or any alarm bells that we should be focusing on? And that's kind of what brought me back to this green shirt interview. And I started from the beginning. It's about a 22 or 23 minute video. I looked at the raw one. There's a few, like WSMV or something like that, I think is the one that did the first green shirt interview, or the first interview, the news interview. And they only had like a 4-minute clip, and she kind of diced it up and really packaged it well, so it looked like the parents were, concerned. But because of public outcry, they opted to release the entire raw video of the interview. And so that's the one I'm focusing on. You can't find that one on YouTube. All you can do is go to their website and look for it and find the full interview on their website, which is what I did. When I tried to look for it in YouTube or on YouTube, I could not find it. But I could find the 4-minute and 20-second one, and then of course the little mini clips, like the 45 seconds and stuff like that, but nothing that had the full interview. I had to find it on their website, but we did find it, and I did save it, by the way, so I have it now, and it's been downloaded, and we got it packaged, tied up, so we'll have it for into perpetuity, no matter where this case goes. Now, she's walking them through the night, and they're going through a lot of information, but there's one spot. I wanted to find it here because I want you to hear it. WSMV full interview. There it is. We're just going to listen to a little bit of... Meet the sheet. Toss the sheet. Detergent has a new bottle. Sorry, I have to wait till the advertisement's over, but I want you guys to hear this interview. I went through it diligently. And one of the things that is most noticeable in this whole entire... Are you chewing on my hair? What is most notable in this entire interview is the lack of emotion it's so emotionless that it's problematic. It's so emotionless that it's problematic. So there's a few key takeaways here, okay? I've been talking on my show for some time about, what was Katie's appearance that morning, because, we're trying to find out what happened to this boy, who's responsible for this boy. I truly believe something happened inside that house with Katie Proudfoot, and I believe she called her husband, and her husband did damage control. That's my personal belief. That's the one that's rising to the top the most. I originally thought Chris was involved and everything like that. We're hearing rumors and speculation that Chris was home on the Thursday playing cards at one of his uncle's house with Sebastian. Sebastian used a computer. This computer has been, I don't know if any of that is true. Okay, I have no clue. I can tell you that Danny Guy has come up in my research, but hasn't come up in my research as a direct connection to Sebastian in a significant period of time. Do they hang out there? Do they do things there? Yes, they do. They've had a connection with his uncle for some time. But do I believe that he was home on a Thursday? No, I don't. I feel like that is a little odd on the day that he was there that Thursday playing cards, poker, if you will. Somebody says poker, somebody says cards. I don't know these people. Do they play poker? Do they play cards? I play cards. Occasionally I'll play a hand of poker. I'm not good at it, okay? So I don't know. I'm not them. We have to be very cautious with what we spread around, because they're, without it being corroborated, I'd like to see some receipts related to whether or not Danny was there. There has to be there's got to be a place that the information came from, right? So did the neighbors say that they saw Chris and Katie there with their son? How did anybody know that Chris and Katie were over at Danny Guy's house and Sebastian used a computer? It sounds like somebody would have to be inside that home to leak that information out. So who else was inside that home, and who is the one that leaked that information, if they leaked that information? But there's several little spots here I've got, and I'm not going to go through this because this is part of my show on YouTube. If you guys would like the full breakdown of these interviews in conjunction with one another, you're going to want to watch my YouTube channel. But I'm just going to give you some highlights that I will be going over tonight. And one is right at the 4-minute and 37-second, and it just went back. I don't know why this does this. This annoys the crap out of me. I don't like this website. Just give me a moment. They like to sell stuff, so every time you touch a button, good gracious. Okay. Why did we get over here to the national? Maybe I need to turn it this way. Maybe this will solve my problems. No, it will not. Give me a second, guys. I don't know why it's giving me such a problem here, but it is. I gotta get through another commercial. Okay. Now, can we have volume?
Allowing me to come into your home.
And we want to go to...
He wasn't. So...
to 4:37. So I gotta go about a minute.
What's going through both of your
Here it
minds?
is.
Are we panicking? Is it this, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
So this is an interesting spot in here. So this interviewee is actually asking Katie, what's going through your mind, when you find out your son's not in his bed? Are you immediately panicking? Do you think he's, making food or whatever? And if you listen to her response on this and asking about like the neighbors, she doesn't answer the question at all. She doesn't answer the question at all. And I thought it was very, very interesting how she avoided answering the question.
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner.
She didn't ask that. What the person asked is, did you check?
He's never run away before.
We just don't feel...
Oh, good gracious. This is not going to...
Memphis at the St. Jude Project.
Walk us through. We've got so many people.
We went from there.
I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I was like, I can't find him.
So there's something interesting, and at the 2 minute and 30-second mark, she states that when does she normally wake up, and she said 6 a.m. And when we were talking about Nancy Grace, she did an interview on the Nancy Grace show, and on the Nancy Grace show, at the 19 minute and 30-second mark in the Nancy Grace interview, she states the same thing, that she wakes up at 6 a.m. So as she wakes up at 6 a.m., she walked into her son's room. Within 3 minutes, she's freaking out, calling her husband, saying that her son's not there. And he says, oh, look here and look there. And then we're going to be getting into Miss Bobby's interview here shortly to kind of button my talking points up. But it sounds to me like Katie wakes up at 6 a.m. Now, if she wakes up at 6 a.m. and immediately goes into her son's room to wake him up and he's not there, and then everything just starts going crazy, right? She's looking all over the house. She's on the phone with her husband. She's getting in her car to go down the road just to see if he might have walked to school without some shoes on, which is a little odd, an odd detail. And then all of a sudden, she comes back home, but when she meets law enforcement, she's fully dressed. If she just woke up, unless she sleeps in clothes, I mean, I sleep in a t-shirt, occasionally I'll have something over my arms because I get cold at night. And I'll sleep in, shorts or boxers or something like that, occasionally. So does she sleep in full clothing? Because that's the only way that I can figure out how in the world she didn't walk out of the house with rollers in her hair and her house shoes. Because she woke up and started freaking out because her son wasn't there. She had no time to change clothes, so why was she fully dressed? This is according to her own statement. But then when it gets to the 4 minute and 37 minute mark on this green shirt, the full interview, by the way, the interviewer is asking her what is her thoughts, what was going through her mind. Was he at a neighbor's house? Is it possible that he could have went to a neighbor's house or anything like that? She's asking just to go over and visit, to play with a kid. And so I found Katie's response quite odd, because she's like,
You were on the phone with her, so you...
We'll just listen. It's going to be about a minute.
I was at work. I'm a tower crane operator, and I was working in Memphis at the St. Jude project.
I have confirmed this man did not get in that tower until 7 o'clock. He was not in his tower crane at 6 o'clock when she called him. She says she called him 3 minutes after 6. That would be 6:03. We find out that they were on a phone for a half an hour phone call before they ever even bothered calling law enforcement. A little weird to me.
I have an earpiece in that talks to my phone. I have another earpiece in that does the radios. So when she was talking to me, I was like, what? And I was confused. We talked about where he could possibly be, and then we went from there and led to calling the cops, and here we are now.
And within minutes, they're here at the home.
Yes, ma'am.
It was rapid fire. They had cars.
We're getting up to the point now because we're at 4:28, and what this lady's about to state next, I want you guys to pay very close attention to, and pay very close attention to Katie's response. She's asking her if he could have went over to a neighbor's house, and she starts immediately going into how he's not a runaway. She didn't ask that. She didn't ask that at all. So listen, I thought it was just a little, I'm analyzing this, and I'm asking myself, why is she answering it this way? That wasn't even the question. She's answering the question that she had rehearsed in her head, in my opinion.
They had cars from here down to
the main road,
as far as I could tell.
So what's going through both of your minds? I mean, are we panicking? Is it this, I think he's probably at a neighbor's house, or what are you thinking?
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner.
She's asking him, did he go visit a friend? at the neighbor's house, and she starts going into how he's not a runaway because he doesn't have friends. That's why Katie wasn't thinking of it like that, because this boy doesn't have friends. He's very isolated. He's very isolated. So I thought that was interesting. We'll hear what her rest of her response is, but I want to get on to some other things. And also, another thing that is becoming very notable in all of these interviews, and I want you guys to pay close attention to this. In most of the interviews, they constantly are saying he's not in trouble, or he wasn't in trouble, or he wasn't in trouble that weekend. And how many times they keep bringing this he's not in trouble really makes me feel like he's always in trouble in their house. And it kind of bodes directly with some statements that Seth made in an interview that I had with him when he said that Chris would want Seth to continue making him wear diapers at his house, even though he wasn't having incontinent issues when he stayed at his father's house. And he wanted him to discipline his son in accordance with Chris and Katie's disciplinary practices. If he was in trouble there, for whatever stupid reason that Chris was pissed off at him and grounded him or punished him now, Seth was expected to take his one day that he gets to see him every 2 weeks and punish him. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. You tell me what he's being punished for, and I'll decide whether if his punishment carries on here at my house. It seemed to me like Seth had a good handle on his son and caring for his son and disciplining for his son properly. And there is some actual corroboration from Chris on that very question. So this whole trouble thing that they keep saying is really bothersome for me. And there's also another spot about 7 minutes in, when they're discussing what Sebastian likes to do. I feel like this statement at the 6:25 mark in this particular interview, I really feel Chris was about to say Dungeons and Dragons, not Minecraft, in my opinion. Dungeons and Dragons. But he goes with another question, and he just starts throwing in, we've cooperated with law enforcement. They were talking about another weird utterance in a weird, bizarre place, just like this whole where she wouldn't answer the question as whether he went over to a friend's house next door. Did she call the friends next door? And she starts saying, my child's never a runner. He doesn't run away. She didn't ask that. She asked if he was visiting someone. This is much like that. Let's get over to that one. And it's at the 6 minute mark.
Switch.
Okay, it's just go back just a little bit. Here, it's coming up in about 30 seconds.
Make more sense if we'd been fighting.
Or he'd been in trouble, but he hadn't even been in trouble.
More about trouble.
So, I mean,
it's trouble. That's all they ever talk about.
Why
Discipline,
did he go?
trouble.
And the other $1 million question is how.
What about social media? Was there anything that, anyone he could have contacted? I understand he was somewhat of a gamer, or what was he? There was a video game he loved, right?
Minecraft. He loves Minecraft.
Sound like he was about to say Dungeons and Dragons.
The game that he has is not online. He has the Switch.
We don't, because of how social media can be, he doesn't have accessibility to communicate with folks on the internet. I mean, we have a firm belief that we just don't feel that right now that he's capable of having that kind of
Sorry, I wanted to see what it was.
So, I mean, his phone is locked down, his computers, his gaming. He doesn't have a gamer tag. He doesn't have online capabilities with games.
It's coming up.
I mean,
we've combed every electronic.
It's coming next.
I mean, we've cooperated with all the authorities as far as anything they've asked us to provide. We've provided, and still just don't have.
I don't understand why he said that. It's like in the middle of gaming, they're talking about game and trying to justify that there's no possibility of somebody getting, a third party making contact. They go out of their way to make sure that everybody knows just how good and diligent they've been about making sure that that threat does not, is not an issue for Sebastian. They went out, they went out of their way to make sure we knew how strict they are, especially on the internet. So the idea that Sebastian was gaming with somebody else, apparently he doesn't even have a name tag or anything like that, where he could. So I just thought that statement was pretty interesting. It is about, I found it was misplaced for me. It was misplaced for me. There are a few other things. Again, if you guys want the full breakdown, you're going to have to watch YouTube later tonight to get the full breakdown of this. We're going to be going through this as well as Miss Bobby's interview and the two Duchess interviews. We're going to be kind of commingling all those together and see what we come up with, right? See what we come up with. He also goes into how he hates being dirty. Chris is talking about how he's not your typical tomboy that loves to play in mud. You know, he loves animals, but terrified of bugs and mud, you know. It seems to me that they're reiterating and actually putting weight toward the fact that he is a gamer. It doesn't seem like he would have walked, if he was planning on running away, it doesn't seem like he would have ran away without his shoes or his game. That's what we hear over and over again. Thank you, Rose. Happy 4th of July as well. I did drop a happy 4th on my BHB for President account this morning. If you guys want to go over there, it's BHB for President here on TikTok. And of course, I have my special message for those that I try to keep my politics and stuff off of this channel because I want everybody to pay attention to the cases that we're advocating for, and I don't want them being distracted by partisan politics and stuff like that. I try to keep our politic talks to action items that will help our cases, but I do have a political vein in my body, and so I have to have an outlet for it, and so I created channels for those outlets. So hopefully if you guys are like me and believe the same way you might get some entertainment out of my BHB for President. It's kind of, it's okay right now, but I do plan on doing some little skits on there and things like that as we go into the election season. So I think it's going to be fun, and I'd really like to unite everybody because I think at the end of the day, despite who the person is at that helm, I think we all want the same things, and we need the person that's going to be able to give it to us. So that's just how I believe. Anyways, getting on with this, there's a few other key notes here. And one was 1413 in this green shirt interview where it almost made me want to vomit in my mouth. It says, Chris goes on when they're talking about the hate that they're receiving from online. He has the audacity, and I didn't catch this at first, otherwise I would have just went off. But I don't think when we heard this at first, we knew who we were dealing with, But he writes in there, and he states in there, he's like, just be kind to people. And I'm thinking, you weren't kind to Sebastian. You and your wife were not kind to this boy. Maybe there was a little bits and spurts here and there, but it sounded like you were awfully overly strict for a boy with so many disabilities. It seemed like he was ultra stressed out in their home. And you know what, Chris? I just want to say, if you are watching, I hope you take your own advice and learn to be kind to people, because I can tell you, you haven't been kind to me. You've threatened me. Your family hasn't been kind to me. And I can guarantee that what this boy has experienced is probably much of what our searchers have been experiencing out there in the field by you and your cohorts. So maybe at this point, you need to start minding your own business and let us do our job. And as a matter of fact, take your own advice and learn to be kind to people, because you're not doing that while we are. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then it was the one that really pissed me off out of everything is this one right here. I even put bullshit. Bullshit only Seth. Bullshit only Seth. Let's listen to what I call bullshit and only Seth, because I feel like Seth was the only one that gave a damn about this boy, and I still do believe that. Here it is.
His dad lives up by Clarksville.
So he could guide someone all the way to Clarksville.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Thank you,
keeps in
Jessica.
some direction, at least with certain things.
if,
Familiar route.
yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerica.
Familiar route.
I mean, if I took him
It's
another
small
route
print.
going this way, he would not know it.
He goes up there so often that he knows.
It's coming up to 5:45.
Know that.
His dad works with him as far as, well, we're going this way, we're going that way.
Listen to that. His dad works with him. Do you hear Chris saying that? The one thing that we find out between the two families, between Chris and Katie's household and Seth's household, it seems like Seth is more caring, more nurturing. He's teaching his son. He's constantly trying to teach his son. Even Chris is sitting here acknowledging that, yeah, when he drives, he's like, I turn here, I turn here. He's always trying to educate his son because he understands his son's disability almost better than anybody, it seems like. And he seems ultra involved. Katie, even earlier in this interview, actually states, let me find the spot, and this is at the 8-minute mark in this very video. And they start talking about the bio dad being very much involved, about how has regular visitation, speaks to him regularly, visits him regularly, and basically says that his dad would be in the front row. No matter where his son went, his dad would be the person in the front row. That really embodies who Seth Rogers is when it comes to his son. And you guys can understand my fury and my infuriation with people that dogged Seth Rogers when you see is he perfect? No. But is he a good dad? You damn right he is. He's a good dad. He's a good dad. Not very many people are blessed with good dads. And Sebastian was blessed with a good dad. Not a perfect one. None of us are perfect. So now we're coming up to the 15-minute and 45-second mark, and I want you guys to hear. This is where I say, I'm screaming from the rooftops, B to the S.
And keeps the same thing, and it works out. So
Let's talk too, because earlier, Chris, you and I were talking.
Did I miss it? I think I missed it. Hold on, let me go back.
Loves animals, but he's terrified of
Oh, it's
bugs.
15:45. Hold on.
that is ongoing.
You don't know. And I don't.
Have taken upon themselves to put stuff out there totally different.
Okay.
If Sebastian was able to watch this, and maybe he's watching this as it airs,
This angers me.
and if he is, what do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
Oh gosh. That we love you so much, and we want you to come home.
And you're not in trouble.
And you're not in trouble.
This is where Chris steps up.
I guarantee you he is loved. And trust me, the open arms are waiting for him to come home. From every parent to every family members to probably everyone in the community.
I have a problem with that statement because let me count the ways. Let me count the ways how I have a problem with that statement. Chris and Katie haven't done crap for this boy. Their family hasn't done crap for this boy. Their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, nobody has done crap for this boy. Not one person on their side of the family has done squat. Did they put a couple signs up? Okay. That community, let's talk about that community. Not one sign. Not one sign. Everybody wants to shove it under the rug. Those people in that community have children. And I'm talking about they're very small. It's a very small community there in their neighborhood. I've seen much bigger. It's a small, bougie type of community. They don't have like lavish houses or anything like that. But they have good properties. They got clean homes. They're on the upper crust. You know, their houses are $600,000+. So we got talk about upper crust. And won't even put a freaking sign in their yard. Don't tell me the community's waiting there with him for open arms. I don't want to hear it. Cut it out. I have a problem with that community about as much as I have a problem with Katie, Chris, and the Bower Sox. Let me tell you. Let me count the ways. Let me count the ways. I went in that community and I was appalled by the lack of signage. the entire community. Shame. You know what? I'm sorry, but it irritates me because there's a few good people out there in that community doing their damnedest to try to bring awareness to this child, this autistic child that's medically needy, that hasn't been on medication for 5 months. And we got people out there, you know, just blood, sweat, and tears into this case. And we've got people that are wanting to shovel this boy under a rug and hide him and let him collect dust. You know what? Somebody in that community should have put up ribbons for this boy entering that neighborhood. Show some damn respect. You want my opinion? So in about the 17-minute mark, they start discussing, you know, the search and how they feel like the search is going. Of course, Chris and Katie are absolutely think that the cops are the best because they're really doing. I mean, they're doing. I don't want to say they're not doing anything. I think that would be wrong for me to say. But I have a problem with the fact that they did not follow the protocols of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That bothers me a lot. The fact that they still have not yet done forensics of that house when he was the last place he was seen alive and breathing was in his bedroom. His mother on Nancy Grace has acknowledged that it is possible that her son was taken. And so this interviewer asked him, you know, how you felt, them being in the front seat and all, you know, how they felt Ellie was working and doing. And of course, they're praising law enforcement while Seth is not because he's got major concerns. And Katie says, you know, in the praise, although they still have not brought my son home. And Chris Proudfoot's response was a little weird, to say the least. I'm interested in that because, you know, when I did this yesterday, and I put notes in here, but I don't elaborate because I want, you know, even though I'm thinking it in my brain, whenever I do my show, I like to have those thoughts fairly organic. So I don't put my thoughts down on here. I'll put something like, you know, this doesn't make sense or this is weird, but I don't say why I feel it's weird. I'll figure it out when I hear it. So let's go over to 1817 and see what his response was. It was about 1720. Shit. Now we got to start all over again. I got to wait for the stupid. This website is just irritating. I can tell you I do not like the WSMV website for phones. And the reason why is because it is very, very difficult to navigate on this with it being so small and you can't navigate properly. They should have put it on YouTube. It'd been a lot easier. Okay, so let me get back to 1720.
Return. About the community because I want you all to know. Even my church body.
Good gracious. Okay, so we went too far.
All they have to do is ask.
Too far back, too far forward. It just sucks. It doesn't allow you to drag it. It's irritating.
Can you walk us through?
Okay, we're going to have to listen to 3 minutes. Sorry.
Baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at.
Let's talk about the community because I want you all to know. Even my
I really don't want to hear about the community. I don't like the community. I can tell you that right now. I'm appalled by the community.
I mean, we're all praying.
Another 40 seconds.
Safe. Return quickly. What do you all want to say to the community?
Thank you.
With everything from the bottom of our hearts. I would not have imagined how far this has gotten.
I bet you
but there's
haven't.
no way to repay.
I bet you they didn't expect it to get it this far, but it is. I believe that social media is it. You know, I don't think we're going to crack this case by any stretch of the imagination, but I definitely believe that we're the reason why this case is not collecting dust. I have no faith in Sumner County. They screwed this case up from the very beginning, and I don't care what Nick Barris says. God bless him. That's his community. He wants to, put it on the brightest light possible, right? But I'm sorry. They did not follow the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children protocols. They didn't. If they did, we would have forensics. Pretty simple. Oh, hey, Sonia. I hope you're doing well. If you guys have, I have shirts. I think we need Team Foul Play shirts. If you guys want some Team Foul Play shirts, reach out to Sonia. She's the one right here. Can I pin your message? I can't pin your message. Can you pin your message? I can't pin your message. But anyways, reach out to Sonia. She's I can never pronounce that. Gracia Design. You're gonna have to teach me the pronunciation of it. But it is great. I love the shirts. I've never been disappointed. She's the one that makes my Silence is an Answer. You can't get that because it's my shirt, but Silence is an Answer too. Those are the shirts that I always wear out in the field. Those are made by Sonia. So if you guys have any type of, and I think the Team Foul Play shirts are perfect for this. So love you bunches. So let's go ahead and listen to this. They're going to be, where are we now? We're about 20 seconds out.
Gratitude, the love that we felt from the community, the prayers, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Yeah, please.
Don't stop looking. But if you come to our town to look, we're going to harass you out of the town. We're going to threaten your life and send my father-in-law to stalk you.
Somewhere.
This ain't over until he's home.
Where is he? Let's bring him home, Chris.
So let's hit on the search itself, because we know thousands of miles have basically been traced and retraced. We've got hundreds. We've got volunteers. We've got law enforcement from within the state, from outside of the state. Do you feel like they're doing as much as they can? I mean, you all have been right there in the front seat, seeing everything that's underway.
As far as I know, they're doing everything. Anything and everything has been an option. They have brought in assets and resources from...
But not forensics. Not forensics.
Various counties, potentially other states. I mean, I don't know how much more they could do. But we're grateful for everything they have done.
They're amazing, but they still haven't brought my baby back.
They will.
They will. He says they will. Not consoling his wife at all. Did I just hit a button? Not consoling his wife at all, by the way. And I just hit it off again. Oh, no. Look at that. See if we can pull it up without... Look at it. No emotion. He's not consoling his wife. He's just looking over there. Oh, he'll be home. It's 8 days after. They've never been away from this child that long in their life. He has no medication. And they're going to bring him home. Don't worry, babe. They got this. It's just weird. No. You would expect that a husband would be rubbing her back, consoling her. None of that in any of these interviews. He's just, they'll find him, babe. They'll bring him home. They're going to bring him home. Yeah, they'll bring him home. He's not even saying it with conviction or, grief. It's just weird.
He's out there somewhere.
Just weird. So I thought that was weird. There's another spot here that I'll be talking about that I haven't brought up here on this show, but we'll be talking about it. We'll be talking about it tonight on the Bullhorn Betty Show on YouTube. So if you guys have not been over to my YouTube channel, I've got 2 of them. My larger channel is just Bullhorn Betty. The smaller channel is Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. The Crime Stories is just kind of like this, where we just kind of shoot the breeze, but I go through more of the chat and communicate more with my audience. than I do on here. But I'm getting better. And then we have, I want to wait for that. I'm not ready to go into that on this show. Oh yeah, I guess I am. I guess I am. All right, so we'll go to this one. It's around the 1835. It should be coming up. I'm just going to roll through it.
It's one day at a time. Getting through this.
This is the we've heard over and over again, and I'll bring up the Spirit Seeker Squad here in just a second. These cameras, Katie and Chris knew about that were in their community. They knew that there were cameras strung throughout the community. They knew about the camera across the street on the neighbor's house. They knew where it was located. They knew where it was pointing. They knew exactly what angle that they would have that shot. They knew what would be seen on that camera. They had all this knowledge, okay? Let's just put that out there like that. So they do have knowledge of these cameras prior to Sebastian disappearing. On the Spirit Seeker, actually, let me see if I can pull that up while I'm on this. Let me see where that one is. I know I've got it. I might have to go to my saved videos if I can't find it. I believe it was an 11-minute. I don't remember which one it was. Let me go to my saved items. Playlists. Here it is. Here it is, right here. I want you guys to hear this.
Believe it or not, no, it's not super clear, but you would have seen a shadow or a figure.
I'm going to go back to 3. Here it is.
Another key code, Katie didn't answer that when Smiley asked that part. So we don't know if the code has to be entered into the keypad to lock the door or if it locks when the door shuts automatically. Roll the next clip.
And not only that, but if somebody had been by the front door and punched in the code, believe it or not, no, it's not super clear, but you would have seen a shadow or a figure.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
And based on, something would have been visible because one of the lights is still visible from that green camera from across the street.
Yeah.
So we know that they know about the cameras. We know that the Ring doorbell, if somebody came out that front door or punched a code in to go in that front door, they would see an image. It wouldn't be much, but they would have a figure, a shadow of somebody going or attempting to go inside their home. Well, you'd have to think that the opposite is true. If somebody was coming outside their home, the same would apply. So when we go over to the interview where they have it with the news crew, I think it was like March 3rd or 5th or something like that. I don't know. Don't mark me on the time. But they start talking about the cameras as well. And it's about to come up because in about 6 seconds.
What is the reaction to the fact that somehow his image hasn't been captured on any video anywhere?
I know that it was very dark that night. I mean, it gets dark around here at night in general, but so far we haven't found him on any camera footage to prove.
Listen, did you hear it? To prove. This is weird language. And earlier in this particular interview, you'll hear Chris say there was no malice, which is another weird utterance that he makes. But why are they proving something? It sounds like the only reason why they have to prove where this kid was is because law enforcement doesn't believe their story.
Prove where he's at or where he's gone. I know that they're looking, and I went asking everybody and anybody that has cameras, trail cams, stores. to check, even from before he went missing, just to see if there's anything at all.
And they throw just, before he went missing, just to be sure. The only time we have law enforcement going back further in cameras, we saw this in the case of Elijah Vu, where they asked for footage from the 12th to the 20th. And usually when they start asking for more footage or not a specific day or to widen that day, it's because they don't believe that child disappeared on that day or during that time. Something to the contrary they believe has happened. They're just trying to look into that aspect. So when I hear this also happened in the gal, oh good gracious, what was her name? Maggie, I want to say her name was Maggie. She was up in Iowa. And her husband ended up unaliving her. She had 2 small children. They took her. Anyways, they had expanded that. But either way you looked at it, they were looking directly at her husband. Directly at her husband. So this is one of those things where by hearing that they're expanding this, out, that they want to get more footage than the time that they believe he disappeared, is very telling in law enforcement, because you don't hear them do that a lot. And when they do it, there's a reason they're doing it.
And I understand there was a request.
His response is weird and very telling.
Of Sebastian from earlier in the day on Sunday before he disappeared.
That I don't believe we can comment on right now.
Imagine that.
That is not something that I believe we're privy to at this point with law enforcement. That is something
I can't answer that. I can't answer that. That seems to be Chris's go-to. He always tells everybody he ask him the tough questions, All you got to do is ask. Out of all these interviews, you don't have to assume. Just reach out to us and ask. And every time we reach out to ask, it's, oh, I can't answer that. 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 Oh, I can't. Privacy, security, HIPAA. Right? So while I have nothing to really compare this to on this show, we're going to be comparing some of these statements on the YouTube channel later tonight at 8 o'clock. So I definitely would like for you guys to go over there and sub up, but more importantly, this is just odd statements. How do they match up to prior statements? That's going to be interesting. So I hope you guys come on over. We will be discussing this in length. We're going to be going over some audios and visual aids to help us understand what's going on. Now, the ending of this week, we're going to be focusing on maps. We're going to be focusing on the 17 hours. And I'm going to be asking the audience for a mess of help as we start unpacking the 17-hour trip Chris took and where he could possibly be. We need to find out where Chris was. I do have a possible theory for maybe a few hours, but it's only a possibility. It's not a probability, and you guys know the difference. So I will throw that out there just to get the gears turning. But if you guys have any ideas about this 17 hours, or you saw Chris yourself, during one of these trips, reach out to me at bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you do not want to be known, I go to the mattress for my sources. I do not state my sources. I always keep the people that want to be left confidential. The only way anybody will ever know that you spoke to me is if you tell them. So anybody that has any information to help me close up my 17-hour gap, please send it to me. bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I want to thank all you beautiful people that sat here and listened to this show. Please thank your subscribers here on the Bullhorn Betty channel here on TikTok for this great information. They are sponsoring this morning's live and have been sponsoring our prior morning's lives. They're sponsored by our subscribers for our subscribers. So God bless each and every one of you. Don't forget to be fearless, and rock it out with your coffee beans out. Please advocate for Sebastian Rogers today. God bless.